Wanted to take a moment to introduce and welcome our newest weather team member, Elyse Smith. No one is leaving the team. We are expanding the team. And I love, Elyse, your passion for serving people and telling the weather and climate stories that matter most to our community. So welcome to ABC13.
Thank you for the warm welcome. It's been a great first week here so far.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit, let's get to know Elyse. So you grew up around Chicago.
Yes, so I born and raised in the southwest suburbs in Naperville, Illinois, to be exact. And I mean, my story begins with a tornado siren. It was about 50 yards from my childhood swing set. So
Yeah.
What kid growing up next to a tornado siren in the Midwest, who wouldn't be interested by that giant thing that blared into my room at least once a month, the first Tuesday of every month, but then also when the weather would turn severe or turn when bad weather, big thunderstorms would be heading our way. And I remember vividly one day my mom would turn on, the local news when there was bad weather coming, the tornado siren was going off, and she pointed to the person, the meteorologist, who knew why the tornado siren was going off and who could keep us safe. And that's what she said. She said, these people know how to predict the weather. And I just thought that was like a superpower. It seemed impossible to be able to predict the weather. And I've just been fascinated by the weather since. Naturally, growing up, I kind of gravitated towards the math and science realms, which was very cool for me because my parents, they were not good at math and science. So I felt special thinking that I was good at this. I was interested in it. And that passion and curiosity for weather carried me all the way through college and now into this career.
And speaking of college, where did you get your degree in meteorology from?
Yep, so I went to Valparaiso University. It's a small private Lutheran school in Northwest Indiana, so I didn't have to go too far away from home for school, which was kind of nice, but through Valpo, I was able to make so many great connections, do some great internships across the country, and meet some really influential people who have helped my career to date.
I'm going to ask you about those in a moment, but I also know that while you were at Valpo, you minored in math?
Yes.
And theater. Tell us a little about the theater background.
So I was an Irish dancer growing up. That was like my hobby, my activity. And fun fact, I'm actually a world champion Irish dancer.
Amazing.
So we say I peaked when I was 12 and it's been downhill since. But yeah, that kind of passion for Irish dance, I loved it so much. I knew that wasn't going to last forever, but my career as a meteorologist, that's what was going to take me through the rest of my life. And people kind of knew me as like the Irish dancing meteorologist growing up. And I mean, still, I guess you could say that to date. But the theater background came through some of the activities I was involved in college. The math was because of all the math and science you take for a meteorology degree, but the theater background, it helped me with public speaking and presentation, which is very important with us being in the communication field, but because I was also able to dance in college, I was able to kind of get both those credits of the College of Sciences and Arts, which I think is kind of a cool blend. You
mentioned internships, and you interned with two giants in our industry. Tell us who you interned with.
So I interned with James Spann at ABC13 in Birmingham. So I know I'm from the Midwest and I've spent a lot of my time in some colder climates, but I interned during the summer. So I do have a little taste of that, south, hot, humid weather. Being there, I was there from June through August of the summer of 2016. I did that in between my junior and senior year, and I just kind of soaked up my time there like a sponge. I learned from him. Another meteorologist on staff, Megan Thomas, was there and really showed me the ins and outs of being a woman in this field as well, and another woman in science. And then my senior year of college, a few months later, I was able to intern with Tom Skilling.
Another legend.
Yeah. So just so thankful. But I worked hard to get those internships because I remember, I think it was my sophomore year of college, and I applied to a bunch of internships, across, Chicago and Illinois, and I didn't get any of them. I got rejected, and I had friends who were my age who got them over me. But that didn't stop me. I think one lesson from that was like, okay, how can I do better? How can I continue to grow? And I think funnily enough, started to do Facebook Live before Facebook Live was a thing, where I would just practice talking about the weather from my backyard, or my mom would help me. We would go to a forest preserve, and I would talk about, the severe weather outlook for the day from the Storm Prediction Center. And I think kind of that drive is what has helped me and propelled me to seek out those bigger internships, to think about what's next, to just keep that intrigue, but also just keep it advancing in my career and advancing with the science. So I've never let, something hold me back from trying to pursue the best.
And I really admire that about you, that if you come across an obstacle or adversity, you find a way around it or through it, and you get to the other side, and that's fantastic.
You have to.
Yeah, and Valpo's also produced some graduates that are near and dear to the ABC family, like Larry Mowry, who's at WLS, our sister station in Chicago. And maybe y'all have heard of Ginger Zee before. Talk to me a little bit about your relationship with Ginger.
Yes, I just can't believe that she might consider me a mentee and I can consider her a mentor. I think a reason why I'm here at ABC13 is because of her encouraging me to seek this opportunity out, and I'm so thankful for that.
We are too.
But it was about a year ago when I got my CBM, my Certified Broadcast Meteorologist seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society. I got that under my belt. I won a little award in New York, and I was like...
It wasn't a little award. It was a little big award. That's okay.
But I felt like I'd finally had, some things on my resume where I could be like, okay, I see myself staying in this industry. I want to see what my next step could be. Let's reach out to Ginger, because I respect who she is, what she does, how incredibly busy she probably is on a daily basis. But I felt like I had enough of a resume to just seek out some advice. And through that, we've just stayed in touch. And we have a similar mentor of James Spann, which was helpful to make that connection. Yeah. But I'm so grateful for who she is as a person, again, for this industry, how she's helped me in my career so far, and just what the future could be now working with the ABC family.
So what's your why? Why TV weather of all the meteorology jobs you can do?
I think when I think about kind of my superpowers and what I like to do, I love science and I love to talk about it. And that's what a television meteorologist is. And especially in this kind of market and in this day and age, we don't just talk about the weather. We talk about climate. We talk about astronomy. We talk about earthquakes and geography and geology. And I just love being able to connect with people in that way and talk about the science. And also my other why is I want to be here today without being able to see other people who look like me when I was, a younger, kid growing up. There were female meteorologists in the Chicagoland area, in the Chicago television markets, who I could look up to. So something I love to do is educational outreach. I love seeing young boys and girls interested in science who had the same passion as me, because it can be quite unique. I don't know about you, but I was the only person in my grade school who liked the weather.
Yeah, there was only a handful when I was growing up.
Exactly. So to kind of see other, children, older students who are interested in meteorology, but also other STEM fields, see their passion and where they are in life. And with technology these days, it inspires me, it challenges me, but also gives me hope for the future. And I see a little bit of me in them too. That's
great. Passing it on to the next generation.
Yeah.
So I know that you have a passion for serving people, and as a meteorologist, you have a personal mission statement. What is that?
Yeah. So I would say my personal mission statement is to live a joy-filled life, one forecast at a time.
I love it. I love it. I often say I'm saving the world one weather forecast at a time.
So it's a good pair. It's a good team here.
But you like forecasting. You're really into the science. And a lot of people see us on TV, and sometimes they have this misconception that we're just reading someone else's forecast, or we are just taking whatever some other forecasting agency has put out there and we're just relaying that. But that's not the case at all.
No, and I think that's something that's really helped me in my career is the aspect that I love forecasting. And not just loving forecasting, but making sure you get it right. Going back and checking for accuracy, checking to make sure it verified, because then in the future when you're communicating maybe a big event coming up, you can go back on things you've already covered. Pattern recognition, I think, is huge. I know that was a big deal when I was forecasting up north. I'm sure there's going to be some patterns that we need to recognize here in the Gulf and Gulf country and farther in the south, but I really do love forecasting. I actually have a bunch of forecast notebooks that I keep, and then I go back and I verify them for accuracy, because then it helps me again as a communicator of, oh, this day we had high pressure moving in, or we had this really weird low. What did it look like? What did it feel like outside? So then I can tell you next time we see something like that, what it probably could look like or feel like outside.
Yeah, whenever the forecast and reality don't match up, we always do our homework to try to figure out what happened, what did I miss, what can I see next time. And even if the forecast is really great, if it's a big event, we still like to go back.
Absolutely.
And see what else could we have done, or what else can we learn? What did we do really well? What could we do better next time? So I love that about you as well. Now, speaking of some weather events, you've covered some in your time, in your 2 previous television markets.
Yes.
First in Jeff City. Tell us about your time in Missouri.
So Jefferson City, and this I feel like was the event that really changed my perception of what it is to be a local meteorologist. And that was the Jefferson City tornado that hit the night of May 22nd, 2019. It was a high-end EF3 tornado that hit in the middle of the night, just before midnight. May 22nd in Missouri as a weather day, everybody knew it because of Joplin. That was the anniversary, the day of Joplin. And we already had severe weather in the forecast for that day. So everyone was a little on edge, but in a way, everyone was aware because of history and because of our forecast what was possible. And for that particular event, I happened to go through it with my community. I lived down the street, so I had to go through waking up to my weather device going off, my phone going off with the alert, hearing the tornado siren, taking shelter with my community, and then driving down the street and seeing the tornado damage.
Wow.
And being one of the first people on the scene after the tornado damage. And that was also really my first tornado that I had covered. We just had quiet, severe weather. We had strong thunderstorms, so we didn't really have any major tornado events that I had covered since my beginning in Jefferson City. So for that to be the first big event that I covered and was personally impacted by, I had a friend whose apartment was completely destroyed.
Wow.
It changed my perspective, my perception of what it means to be a local meteorologist and how to serve a community. And I think that's one reason why, with this particular position, I like that I'll be able to go out into the community and tell weather stories and be there reporting maybe from the scene of a major event, maybe telling the story of a previous major event, climate change as well. That just really set the bar for me with what I want to do with my career, the stories I like to cover, and the impact you can make on a community.
And those are the moments too that show the value that we provide.
Absolutely.
Because when we have, and you're gonna get your fair share of wild weather here in the city of Houston, and people come to us, they turn to us because they want us to walk them through this scary situation. We've been through these before, but you still want another human being along to tell you exactly what's happening and to say, you know what, we're gonna get through this. If we do these things, we're gonna be okay. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And we get them through. And you got through your viewers through some pretty big events in Buffalo as well, with these back-to-back mega snows.
Oh my gosh, lake effect snow. There's nothing like it in the world. It's absolutely magnificent to watch and see from a meteorology perspective, but also you can get 7 feet of snow in a few days, and how the community responds to that as well. So I think what I'm bringing to the table here is being able to cover extreme weather events. And no, have I ever covered a hurricane? No. But to that point, Hurricane Harvey was the very first storm, major natural disaster that I technically was a degreed meteorologist for, that I watched unfold. I forecasted from Missouri, but then also saw the national coverage, the local coverage, and I have not forgotten that since. So,
Neither have we.
no, I know. I can imagine.